For over 2,000 years, the sands of Egypt have held a secret that still haunts historians. The final resting place of Cleopatra, the last pharaoh of Egypt. Her name has survived the fall of empires, her face carved into stone and legend, but her tomb, the place where her story was meant to end, remains lost. Cleopatra VII wasn't just a queen. She was a force of nature, intelligent, strategic, fluent in 9 languages, and bold enough to defy the greatest empire in the world, Rome. Born in 69 BC into the Ptolemaic dynasty, she ruled Egypt during a time of turmoil, when her kingdom stood as one of the last free powers in the Mediterranean. To save Egypt, she used her sharp intellect and charm, forming alliances not with ordinary men, but with legends. First Julius Caesar, and later Mark Antony. Together, Cleopatra and Antony became the most powerful couple of their age. Their love story was a fire that burned across continents, blending politics, passion, and ambition. But that fire couldn't last forever. In 31 BC, their forces were crushed at the Battle of Actium by Octavian, the future Emperor Augustus. As Roman armies marched into Alexandria, Cleopatra's world collapsed. Mark Antony, believing she was dead, took his own life. When his dying body was carried to her, she held him in her arms as he breathed his last. Shortly after, Cleopatra chose to follow him in death, rather than live as Rome's captive. According to legend, she pressed a venomous asp to her skin, and with that final, defiant act, ended an empire that had lasted for 3,000 years. But was it truly a serpent's bite that killed her? Or was that story just a romantic tale crafted by Rome to diminish her power and rewrite her end? Ancient writers tell us Cleopatra and Antony were buried together in a grand tomb filled with gold, silver, and royal treasures. A tomb that Cleopatra herself had begun to build before her death. Yet, no trace of it has ever been found. For centuries, everyone assumed her burial site was in Alexandria, her magnificent capital city, but time has not been kind to Alexandria. Earthquakes and tidal waves have swallowed much of the ancient city beneath the Mediterranean Sea. Today, divers can still find statues, pillars, and fragments of her palace under the waves, but no tomb. For centuries, the mystery remained unsolved. Where did Egypt's most famous queen go when she left the world behind? Then, a new voice entered the story. Archaeologist Kathleen Martinez. Unlike so many before her, she believed Cleopatra wouldn't have been buried in the royal city at all. Instead, she focused on a place 30 miles west of Alexandria, a temple complex known as Taposiris Magna, which means the Great Tomb of Osiris. Now, this is where it gets fascinating. Cleopatra often portrayed herself as the living embodiment of the goddess Isis, while her lover Antony was associated with Osiris, the god of death and resurrection. If Cleopatra saw herself as Isis and Antony as Osiris, then being buried in a temple dedicated to those deities would have been the ultimate act of devotion and symbolism. It would have been a statement for eternity. Martinez began excavations in the early 2000s, and what she found stunned the world. Beneath the temple, her team uncovered a massive underground tunnel, more than a kilometer long, carved deep into the rock. It's an incredible feat of engineering, a hidden artery beneath the desert. Along its walls, they found gold coins bearing Cleopatra's name, statues of Isis, and even mummies wrapped in gold leaf, a sign of extreme wealth and importance. In one chamber, they discovered an elegant alabaster head, possibly a likeness of Cleopatra herself. The further they dug, the more it seemed that Cleopatra's final resting place might indeed be hidden right there, sealed away by floods and time. Some chambers remain underwater to this day, and Martinez believes that behind one of them lies the tomb of Cleopatra and Mark Antony, side by side, untouched for over 2,000 years. If she's right, and that tomb is ever opened, it would be one of the greatest discoveries in archaeological history. It would reveal not only Cleopatra as true burial, but perhaps priceless artifacts that could rewrite everything we know about her final days. But not everyone agrees. Many Egyptologists argue that Cleopatra's tomb has already been lost forever, destroyed by earthquakes or looted by Roman soldiers who wanted to erase her memory from history. After all, to the Romans, Cleopatra was not a queen. She was a threat. She represented resistance, power, and a pride they wanted to crush. And yet, her story refused to die. 2,000 years later, Cleopatra still rules our imagination. Her face appears in art, her name in history books, her legend carried on every whisper of the Nile. She wasn't just beautiful, she was brilliant, commanding, and fearless. In a world that constantly underestimated her, she built her own empire in the shadow of giants and dared to stand against the tide of history. Maybe her tomb lies deep beneath the sands, sealed and waiting. Maybe it's hidden underwater, far below the ruins of ancient Alexandria. Or maybe, like the queen herself, it was meant to remain a mystery, untouchable, eternal, and forever beyond the reach of time. Because perhaps that's the real secret of Cleopatra. Her tomb may be lost, but her story ensures she never truly died. Her name still stirs wonder, her legend still draws breath, and her mystery still defies the centuries. Cleopatra, the last Pharaoh of Egypt, the queen of the Nile, and the woman who conquered both love and empire. And maybe one day, when the desert finally gives up its secret, the world will once again hear her name spoken, not as myth, but as truth. But until that day, her legacy remains one of history's greatest unsolved puzzles, a story carved in sand and shadow. If you've stayed with me through this journey into the ancient world, remember that history isn't just about the past. It's about the lives, choices, and mysteries that continue to shape us today. So, if Cleopatra's story fascinated you, if you believe her tomb still waits, hidden beneath the sands of Egypt, then help her legend live on. Like this video and let us know in the comments, where do you think Cleopatra's tomb truly lies? At Taposiris Magna, lost beneath the sea, or somewhere else entirely? And be sure to subscribe for more untold stories of history, where lost worlds rise again, and every mystery leads us closer to the truth. Cleopatra's tomb may be missing, but her story, her power, and her name will never fade. Thanks for watching.